Hey everybody, how's it going? Your favorite elf on the internet, Halbernacht here. So this is a little project I've been wanting to do for a while, as sort of a tutorial series on how to get into painting Warhammer and just other types of miniature models. It's a really fun hobby, and I see a lot of people just don't know where to start or it's too expensive, so my thought is that maybe I could kind of ease people in and show them some of the tips and tricks I've picked up over the years. I'm going to split this into 3 parts to keep things nice and small. Part 1 will be about how to assemble the model, Part 2 will be painting it, and Part 3 will be how to get models cheaper, because boy howdy did it get expensive. For this particular tutorial, I'm going to be showing all the tools I use, sort of what order you need to do things to get a model from plastic sprue to a finished product. And I will be also using Games Workshop prices and just generic prices for the tools themselves. Games Workshop stuff isn't necessarily better, it's just more expensive sometimes, but sometimes it's more convenient to get them if there's a shop nearby. And with that said, let's get started. Alright, so for the first part, this will be assembling the model. I'm going to assume that you already have a model, maybe just one kick around your closet that's been gathering dust, or just one that you picked up because you thought it's cool. I'm going to be building some Death Guard Plague Marines because I have a whole Death Guard army I really need to get building, so we'll use these as a reference point. And let's go ahead and go to the sprues. And here we are. Basically, all plastic models come on these sprues. Some of them will be more complicated than others. Death Guard have a lot of parts, but don't worry, you're given like a little instruction manual. Basically, you just assemble them like Lego. It's nice and easy, all pictures. And to do that, you are going to need a set of clippers. Alright, here we have our clippers. I got a pair of Games Workshop clippers, and the pair that I actually use are some God Hand clippers. Basically, at this point, what you do, you find a little number, 24. I went ahead and pre-selected it 24 over here. So use your clippers to just remove the model. Just hit these little nubs, and the thing about these is you're going to get little bits of plastic left over. Don't worry, the next step will cover removing those. Also will be a lot easier for you to remove them outside of doing YouTube videos, so don't you worry. So you get your model like this, and then we'll go on to the kind of filing process. Alright, so at this point you have your piece removed from the sprue, pretty easy. You'll notice these little bumps, these are just little bits of the sprue that are left over, and that's where you get some files. My personal collection, I have some flat files and some round files. Basically you just kind of just like sand those pieces off. Don't worry if like the coloration's a little weird, that can be fixed when you actually get to the painting process. The point you're kind of going for is just like smooth as possible to make sure that everything connects properly. And sometimes you might have like something more than just a little tiny bump, and in that case you're going to want to use a hobby knife. Alright, skipping a little ahead in the build process and removing my gloves for extra grip, I'm going to show you a good instance to use an X-Acto knife. So sometimes you'll be clipping parts with your clipper and you'll get like a weird little piece like this, and maybe instead of using files, what you might want to do is take an X-Acto knife, make sure the piece is nice and thin so you can just like very gently slice off the extra chunks. Just remove it till you think you got like a good amount off. Usually you don't need to take too much off. And at this point it's be a much easier, I might go in like one more time. There we go, there we go. Nice and flat. And at that point you can just sort of finish it off with a file. Right, and now we're going to go into the glue section, back in time. Alright, so we're now actually going to glue these two pieces together. Before you do any gluing, at all times you should do what's called a dry fit. Just kind of just like plug in the two pieces, see if they fit properly, make sure you got everything sanded, it's nice and smooth. And then you're going to do some glue. So glue generally comes in 2 types. We got plastic glue and we got super glue. Super glue you're probably familiar with, just good old Gorilla Glue, holds things together real tight. What you might want to do though is plastic glue for model building. The difference between the two is plastic glue will actually chemically weld the two pieces together, sort of make 2 chunks of plastic into one plastic. If you need to pop off the pieces later, it will be very difficult, but it also means that your model will be very sturdy. Ideally, get some plastic glue with a fine like metal applicator, so you can just very gently give it like a little bit, hold the pieces together, and then just give it some time to dry. Usually doesn't take too long with plastic glue, so that's not usually that big of an issue. And then, yeah, here we go. Once again, give it a couple seconds and then start moving on to the next pieces. And as you're building your model, you're going to want to start assembling in chunks, and I will explain why in the next step. Alright, and for our final piece, we're going to be doing sub-assemblies. This is a bit of a more advanced technique, but learning it early on will save you a lot of time and headache. Basically, the idea right now is I've assembled all of the parts of the model as separate pieces. So big major pieces, we got the head, backpack, arms, and torso. And instead of just go ahead and gluing everything together, we're going to use some magical stuff called blue tack. You can get this for like $2, and it will be a huge boon to you in the process of building models. So the reason why we want to do this is, let's say we were just to go ahead and glue this model together right now, just like the way it is, which should be fine. You could paint the model serviceably, but you'll notice there's that little crack where like the thigh and the arm and the gun meet, where it's going to be very difficult to paint. So what we can actually use is use that blue tack, put that on the model, and then put that here to kind of temporarily hold the model together. This way you can sort of build the model in a way that when you actually want to prime the model and get ready to paint it, you can remove the pieces and it'll be nice and make it so you can paint all the parts fairly easily. Also, another benefit, some models like Space Marines, or in this case Plague Marines, have a lot of options. And you might not know when you want which weapon you actually want to use. Maybe you're deciding whether you want to do a melee squad or a full-on range squad. Maybe there's different special weapons and you're just not sure. However, if you use this technique, and see we're kind of just sticking him all together, get a little bit more for the backpack. This stuff is, feel free to use a bunch of it because like it's seriously cheap and it'll save you a lot of headaches. And you can just kind of just press them together. And here we go. We have a fully built air quote model that we can take apart when we actually want to do the painting process. But in this current state, we can still use it on the tabletop. We can actually like put little ones here and stick it to the base. And you can just keep it around and like actually play with it. And like I said, if you need to change some stuff up or you want to remove some parts, it's super easy to do. So yeah, together we have built one whole model, and you can use these processes for any model you might have in your collection. All right, let's go back to the workshop screen to wrap things up. All right, with that, we have assembled our first model, and you can use that process to build basically every plastic model available to some degree. Go ahead and start building up your stuff, and then next episode I'm going to show you guys how to prime your models and get the paint on them. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys what paints to use, how to do paint brushes, what primer even is, and many other things. Thank you guys for watching. All in the video links there will be links to buy all the various tools I use, so make it nice and convenient. Also just like a little shopping list. And thanks for watching. This is my first time doing something like this, so hopefully it's good. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, because feedback will be really important at this stage. Thank you. Bye-bye.